Welcome back, everybody. Grant Stinchfield here. It is amazing to me that we are still dealing with a massive problem of insider trading inside the halls of Congress. This may be the biggest insider trading scheme of all time, and it's happening inside the United States Capitol. You have members of Congress making like a 16,000% increase on their money. They go in as modestly wealthy people, modest, and they come out multimillionaires. How are they doing it? Through stock trades. And this is not just Democrats. Republicans do this too. Lots of them. Nancy Pelosi is probably the most famous. She is up a percentage that is beyond belief. But they all are when you look at the percentage gains that these members of Congress are making inside the halls of the Capitol. So back in 2012, I actually take credit. I was running in a primary against Kenny Marchant, a congressman from the Dallas area who's no longer in office. He had become wildly wealthy in Congress. He tripled his net worth over his time in Congress. And I called that into question. And we really put a lot of pressure on, as did many people around the country. And we got the Stock Act passed. And I thought, well, this will be great. The Stock Act is a joke. It's called the Stock Act of 2012, and it basically does nothing. Nothing at all. The fine, if you violate the rules of insider trading, is $200. Big deal. That's the price of a small commission on a giant trade. $200. If you go and make $50,000 on a trade, you gladly pay $200 and just take the fine. The reporting is lax. There's no oversight on it. There's really no governing body. So it doesn't work. We need a new law. I think we need to ban members of Congress from trading stocks because, quite frankly, they just cannot be trusted. So there was a hearing yesterday. We're going to go through the hearing. My buddy Tim Burchett, the congressman from Tennessee, was fire-breathing again. Boy, he let his fellow members of Congress have it. So we'll talk about that in just a second. But before we do, I want to remind you about my friends over at Energized Health. EnergizedHealth.com. This is about intracellular hydration. Why do I talk about this? Because it's nothing short of a miracle, a scientifically backed miracle. If you can get your cells hydrated at a cellular level, your joint pain goes away. Your visceral fat and body fat starts to melt away. You build muscle mass. That's very important as you get older. Testosterone levels will go up. Cholesterol levels will come down. You have people that had diseases, liver diseases, that start to turn around, all from getting hydrated at a cellular level. I'm telling you, water is the fuel of life, but how you get that into your system is very different than just chugging water. My friends at EnergizedHealth.com can help you. You tell them that Grant sent you. I lost 15 pounds in 2 weeks. I've kept it off. It is my go-to protocol, a life-changing protocol. EnergizedHealth.com. Get mental focus, get energy, and, of course, lose that stubborn fat that you have wanted to lose for a long time. EnergizedHealth.com. That's EnergizedHealth.com. Okay. With that, folks, let's get the show started.
Uncensored and unapologetic. This is Stinchfield. Here's your host, Grant Stinchfield.
All right. Welcome back. So, the Stock Act of 2012, let me start this over. The Stock Act of 2012 is useless. Members of Congress make an end run around it. There's no governing body to oversee this. Reporting efforts are late. They claim they've made mistakes. It's hard to prove that insider trading was at the heart of the action that was taken to make them millions of dollars. As we see, most members of Congress increase their net worth from being inside Congress. Not to mention, if they don't trade in their own account, they're using their wife's account, their sons and daughters' accounts, their friends' accounts. There's all kinds of ways to get around this. They claim they have blind trusts, but there's nothing blind about the trust. We need to strictly ban members of Congress from trading stocks. That's the bottom line. We don't want to send people up there to get wealthy on our backs. We want them to go up there and serve this country. They don't need to spend 20 years there. This is the reason why people don't leave. Yes, they are hungry for power, but they're also hungry for money. They know it's a gravy train up there. Sure, you only make $174,000 a year. I say only If you're doing pretty well, you're an upper middle class guy, you got a double income family. $174,000 isn't the most money to live on in the world, but you go up there and you can make millions of dollars trading stocks from inside information. You're in a defense authorization hearing, and you're talking about military contracts. Well, isn't that easy to go invest in some of the military contractors that you're going to hand out big time contracts to? Of course it is. And this is exactly what's doing. Again, the fines are pathetic. $200? $200. People will routinely make six figures on their trades, and they're getting fined $200. There's no enforcement of this stock act, no powerful enforcement body. There's nobody investigating other than the media, watchdogs, and things like that. And there is no criminal teeth to this. So if you break the Stock Act, you're basically breaking the rules of Congress. They fine you. They give you a slap on the wrist. If they catch anybody, they basically ignore it. So there's no criminality to any of this. And reporting rules do not stop the behavior. This is important. People will file the reports late. They claim mistakes. Disclosures only happen after major market moves. And there's no automatic punishment for suspicious trading. So again, something needs to be done about this. Nobody knows this more than Tim Burchett, who's been so instrumental in calling out his fellow members of Congress. He gave a little news conference yesterday.
Thank you, Proud Paul. Thank you, Seth. Thank you, Brian. Somebody asked me if I was going to wear my jacket up there, and I said, to quote the immortal words of Henry Winkler when he played the Fonz, I always rumble in this jacket, because that's what we're up against. This is a fist fight, folks. Now, first, I guess I need to thank Chairman Stiles and the committee, the House Admin Administration Committee, for taking this up, because I realize what we're up against. I mean, this is, everybody talks about this place being a dadgum swamp. It's not a swamp. A swamp is something cool God created. It filters water. Animal life lives and flourishes around it. This is a sewer. This is created by man, and it needs to stop. We've, for years, Congress has been using hard-working American taxpayers' money to get rich. Dadgum, it's got to stop. America knows what the heck's going on. Everybody wants to knock Pelosi. Heck, she's not even in the top 10. Get on that Unusual Whales site. This is pathetic, folks. We all know what's going on. Congress knows what the hell's going on, and it needs to stop.
So Nancy Pelosi is not even in the top 10 of the abusers of this, and her gains are insane. Thousands and thousands of percentage points up. I think it's like 16,000% that they make on their money.
This body has been enriching itself on the taxpayers' dime for too dadgum long, and it's got to stop. This place is crooked and is crooked as a dog's leg. That's an old East Tennessee saying, but it's the truth, and it needs to stop. America knows what's going on. We're in committee meetings. We hear things before y'all do. We can make those connections. When you see a member of this body making 400, 500, 600 trades a year, you know something's wrong. Everybody ought to do like I do. I got my buddy Tommy Siler who invested in my mutual fund. I ended up having to cash it out because my daughter's going to school. I'm not a wealthy man. But look, this thing is broken, and it needs to be fixed. And this is the right avenue to do it. And I want to say something. I'm going to get these guys mad at me, but I really don't care because they can't vote in my district. This thing ain't going to pass. If we're going to pass something in the House, and then guess what? The Senate will either, one, not take it up, or they'll come back in righteous indignation and say, oh, we need to make this stronger, something totally ridiculous, and they'll send it back to us. This is a scam that's being played on the American public, and it needs to stop. Let's quit with this nonsense. Let's give America a reason to trust Congress for once in our miserable lives. This is our chance to stand up and say, we hear what you're saying, America. We're going to fix this dadgum problem.
So it's interesting because all of America wants this behavior to be stopped. Okay. Now, if you're trading stock not on inside information, I'll acknowledge you should have a right to do that. But the problem is you go to Congress, there's no way to decipher whether it's inside information or not inside information. And so in the end, when it comes down to it, you probably just have to stop everybody from trading. And that's it. Now, he's talking about sending it to the Senate, and the Senate saying, oh, it's not strong enough. They send it back. They know that they can't come up with an agreement because nobody that's in office right now wants this to go through. They don't want it to go through because they're making millions of dollars off it. They don't care what the American people think. They only care about lining their pockets and knowing that once they leave office, that they'll have a nice nest egg and they can go retire, go work for a lobbying group, make even more money, and then be in just a complete stratosphere level compared to the American people. So I'm with Tim Burchett on this. He's amazing. I'm going to try to get him on the Real America's Voice show tonight, if possible.
But we probably won't do it. And I'll remain ticked off the rest of the day because of this. And it needs to stop. I want to thank all these folks, really. I joke around about it. You want to talk about something that, we all working together? Dadgummit, this is the issue. This is the issue where Democrats and Republicans. Dadgummit, if I can stand up here with these two. Yeah, these two. I mean, people back in East Tennessee are going, what in the heck's Burchett doing sitting next to Proud Paul, for goodness sakes? Well, I'm not going to beat her in her district, and she sure as heck ain't going to come down to East Tennessee and beat me. But this is an issue that America's united on. We ought to get behind this thing. You all in the press, it would make a hell of a lot of sense if y'all would put the pressure on Congress and make us do the right thing for once in our miserable lives.
That's the only way it happens, is for the mainstream media. Forget about us. We put a lot of pressure on our fellow Republicans. We can handle that. We'll do that here on this podcast, and we'll do it on the Real America's Voice show. And we can move Republicans in the right direction. Democrats aren't going to listen to us. In order for Democrats to listen to this, you got to get the mainstream media involved. I hate to say it, but if we want to partner on this, if Burchett can stand next to Jayapal and be on the same page on something, I guess I should be able to stand next to CNN and try to push the same issue. I would do it because the American people are most certainly fed up about all of this. And again, I've been pushing this since 2012 when I first ran for Congress. And again, members of Congress continue to get rich. Now, I'm going to bring you inside the hearing yesterday. There were some fascinating things to listen to. Before I do that, though, I want to tell you about my friends over at the Wellness Company. TWC, oops, that's not it. Where is here it is. I want to tell you about my friends over at the Wellness Company, twc.health/grant. They're running a 20% off sale right now, and this is fabulous. Store-wide, just go to the website, everything, twc.health/grant, and I believe you use that promo code GRANT, and it'll be 20% off for everything. Normally it's 10. This is like a pre-Black Friday sale they got going on, including the Parasite Cleanse. Folks, the Parasite Cleanse was the best thing that I had did. A total body detox from these disgusting worms that are crawling around in your system. Did I have them? I don't know, but I can tell you this. I feel better. My skin looks better. I've got more mental clarity after going through this detox. It's ivermectin and mebendazole. That is the detox that is probably the best detox that's offered in the country. All made here in the United States. That's what the Wellness Company guarantees. And ivermectin, mebendazole combination, FDA approved. It's a fabulous total body detox of parasites. It's estimated tens of millions of Americans have parasites. Do you want parasites crawling around? They get into your brain, they will kill you, man. You hear what I'm saying? They get into your brain or your spine, you'll get paralyzed, they'll kill you in your brain, all from eating raw sushi that had parasites in it or wherever else you get them from. Disgusting. twc.health/grant. Use that promo code GRANT. And pre-Black Friday, get on board, man. You don't want those worms crawling around in you. At least I don't. That's why I did it myself. All right. The hearing on the Stock Act. This is Congressman Style. This is who Burchett was talking about. And take a listen.
What can we do to accomplish the ultimate goal of making sure that members of Congress aren't profiting from inside information? And I sometimes go back and think about the situation that occurred here 5 years ago. And on February 13, 2020, as we're heading into the COVID pandemic, the chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee called his stockbroker and sold all but one equity in his entire portfolio for a tune of $1.6 million. If you're the chair of the Intelligence Committee, almost by definition, you have information that's not available to the public.
Well, we know what happened to the markets. They crashed. And they had to have been talking about, hey, we're going to talk about a shutdown. That's coming up. Liquidate my portfolio, man. That stock market's going to crash except for one stock. What was it? Who knows? Probably Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer. How many Republicans were invested in vaccine companies? AstraZeneca. How many? I want to know how many Republicans that speak a big game about being anti-vax, that COVID was a hoax, how many of them invested in the big vaccine companies? I'll bet you we'd be surprised by our answer. I know some names. I'm not going to name them because I don't really need the headache right now. But I do know some names. And it's not good. It really isn't. And it's not just Republicans. It's Democrats too. But especially on something like that, this is totally hypocritical because they're screaming and yelling about how bad all this stuff is. Meanwhile, they're profiting off it.
And at an absolute minimum, that's an appearance of impropriety. The SEC and others looked into this, and their challenge, of course, is can you prove this beyond a reasonable doubt, which is the standard for prosecution under insider trading. And so then we have to look and explore what reforms need to be made to make sure that this type of action doesn't happen again.
A total ban. I think that's the only way to do it. That's the reform. A total ban. And if you get caught, there's real teeth to this. Some of the people were talking about a percentage of the stock trade. Now, boy, that would really hurt. You do a 50% of the stock trade, the government will get rich. They'll still do it, though, as long as they can keep it all. I mean, this is why even a percentage of the stock trade as a fine, if it's big-time money, they've still made money. It's still worth doing. If you make 50%, you got to pay back 20%. Well, I'll take that 30% all day long. But many of these members of Congress don't think like that, except the ones actually doing it, of course.
Mr. Copeland, in your testimony, you stated that no member of Congress has ever been prosecuted under the Stock Act. We just talked about the instance that took place in the Senate. Why do you think that's the case, that no prosecutions have come under the Stock Act?
Partly for the burden of proof you talked about. I mean, reasonable doubt is relatively high. You have to have a scienter requirement or a knowledge requirement. Also, it's the way the Stock Act structured is it's a self-policing. In other words, you have your own House and Senate committees in charge of this. Now, there may be good reasons for that. Conflict among the branches is something you have to worry about. You have to worry about an executive branch run by one party going after the members or senators of another party and things like this.
We've seen that plenty of times.
But that's my hypothesis. I wouldn't infer from the lack of prosecutions that nothing bad's happened, right? So.
But I would completely agree with you that from the lack of prosecutions, it's not because nothing bad has happened, it's because the standard for insider trading is incredibly high to prove. It happens on occasion. There are members that have been charged and convicted of insider trading. Under the Stock Act, we're looking for Congress to police itself without the traditional apparatus of a judicial process.
So, again, no prosecutions. Why? Because I don't even think it's a criminal act. I think it's a standard regulatory act on behalf of Congress that says you can't do this. I don't think there's criminal penalties to this. So that's why when they say are there prosecutions, the penalties are $200 fines. And self-reporting. So, it's designed to make it look good and look tough. And here we are, 13 years after its passage, and we're realizing this is nothing but a joke. I saw this news report.
Ago, we saw Representative Susie Lee buy stock in a company called Rheinmetall. Which is a German defense contractor, which, that rang alarm bells for us because it was a stock we hadn't really seen any members trade before, and obviously very tied into U.S. defense policy.
It's like they're doing a lot of work with the Army lately. Tank modernization, I bet there's big money in that.
Susie Lee sat on a committee on military construction, and since then the stock's risen 250%.
250% gain on your money, and you're sitting in on the military budget, contract negotiations, all of it. Congresswoman Susie Lee, not Pelosi. Again, Pelosi's up like 16,000%. Started with $785,000, and now she's at like hundreds of millions of dollars in wealth. What was her response? I'll do a little flashback to when she was asked about this. This is a year or more ago.
Congress and their spouses be banned from trading individual stocks while serving in Congress.
No, I don't know to the second one. We have a responsibility to report in the stock, on the stock, but I'm not familiar with that 5-month review, but if people aren't reporting, they should be. Because this is a free market and we're a free market economy. They should be able to participate in that.
I mean, how funny is it? Hearing Nancy Pelosi, a radical Democrat, talking about a free market economy. Yeah, free for you to become a multi-gazillionaire. That's what you want. I mean, this woman is pathetic, man. But not so much. Look, you can follow her. There are apps out there now that literally you can track the investments by members of Congress. The only problem is they're like 30 days delayed. So members of Congress are up like 80%. If you track it 30 days delayed, guess what? You're up 40%. I got to do this. The app will actually trade it for you with your money, but it's not on like the big brokers, Fidelity, Schwab, those types of things. You got to go into the little guys, and I don't have accounts with the little guys. I should open up one, though, and literally just follow Nancy Pelosi. Why not? I'll ride Nancy Pelosi's coattails to riches. I'd rather watch her, not ride the coattails, but watch her go all the way on into prison. That would be even better. So these lawmakers talk a big game. You heard Burchett say, well, the Senate's just going to throw it back. You got guys like Josh Hawley. He talks a big game. I like the senator. I think he's a good guy. Is he serious when he says things like this?
Say that we have an opportunity here today to do something that the public has wanted us to do for decades, and that is to ban members of Congress from profiting on information that, frankly, only members of Congress have in the buying and selling of stock. 86% of Americans say that members of Congress should not be able to buy and sell shares of stock, individual stock, while they are members of this body, and they are absolutely correct. And the reason is, you can see it, there was just another ethics referral in the House last week. We've seen the former Speaker of the House make millions of dollars in profits. We've seen members of both parties, I'm sad to say, be investigated for their stock trades. And the reason for all of this is that, quite frankly, members of this body are privy to information that the normal person just is not. Now, is that insider trading? It is not under the laws. Sometimes people say, well, we already have insider trading laws. We don't need a stock ban. Well, the information that members of Congress are privy to is technically not covered by the insider trading laws, but nobody really believes that the information that we get isn't valuable. It is quite valuable, which is why back during COVID, you saw members of Congress of both parties engage in a flurry of stock trading right after they were getting COVID briefings. Were members of the public getting those briefings? They were not. Were members of the public privy to the kind of information that was being given to members of Congress? No, they were not. And so when you look at what members of Congress are privy to, what they are able to trade on, the access that they have, it's just qualitatively different than your average Joe or Jane, which is why we ought to put into place common sense guardrails that say, if you want to be a member of Congress, you can put you want to save, great. You can buy mutual funds, you can buy broadly diversified investment vehicles. You should not be able to buy and trade individual stock shares in which, frankly, we have an interest in the work that we do. We have information that no other people get, no other members of the public have. This bill would finally.
All right, so, look, what if you're a guy like me and you want to go to Congress and you trade on a daily basis? I trade on a daily basis, but I'm in and out in like anywhere from 10 seconds to 5 minutes. I don't really hold a trade longer than that. I'm trading low-price stocks that are moving, momentum trading philosophy. I'm not profiting off inside information. Are you going to ban me from doing that? In the end, the answer is probably yes, because how do you determine what's legit, what's not legit, even if they're very quick in and out trades? You know, I mean, you could put a rule in there, I guess, that you can't hold a trade for longer than a day or overnight, or, you know, more than 12 hours, something like that. So you could have day trading going on. But even that, you're going to know information that might move a stock quickly during the day off of information that comes out of Congress. Not as much, that's for sure. Some of these things take a while to develop, you know. But you got to get away and figure out a way to get members of Congress on board with this. Because right now, you're going to have a real hard time. It's like term limits. I've been pushing for term limits forever. It takes a constitutional amendment for term limits. But how are you going to get members of Congress to overwhelmingly vote for term limits when they're the ones abusing the system? They're the ones they're not going to do that. I had said, could you come up with a bill that would grandfather those members of Congress? Letting people don't like this idea, but you grandfather them in. They have no term limits. Only new members of Congress do. That way you could get those who are in Congress now to vote for it, at least. I don't know how you'd word that or not, but it's not a bad idea. So as we continue here, Anna Paulina Luna, new congressman, woman, relatively new from Florida. She's speaking out on this.
Congresswoman, you introduced a resolution earlier this year to advance the End Congressional Stock Trading Act. And this Wednesday, the House is going to hold a hearing on whether members of Congress should be allowed to trade stocks. Congresswoman, what do you expect we're going to hear on Wednesday?
Well, look, I can tell you that a majority of Americans, both Democrat, Republican, and Independent, do not support members of Congress being able to individually stock trade because of people like Nancy Pelosi, who made 17,000% returns on her investments. And on average, for members that do engage in stock trading, the average return is 600%. So I tell my colleagues, if you want to stock trade, go to Wall Street. But I think the hearing is going to repeat what we are.
You know what's funny, though? She says you want to stock trade, go to Wall Street. They're not going to make any money on Wall Street. You actually have to be smart on Wall Street. Stock trading is not an easy game. So the fact that they have an average of 600%, most Americans that go in to try to trade stocks fail at it. They don't make money at it. Congressmen and women are no different other than the fact that they're getting information that you and I don't have. That's why they're successful at it, because the system's rigged. Again, it's the largest insider trading scheme in the history of the world. And it's happening inside our own Capitol.
Known that there's a problem with it. Even the Speaker of the House will tell you that certain members have taken advantage and that there's insider trading and information. So proud to report the president has already made public statements that he supports banning the insider trading that currently happens in the House. I hope to do it. Now, obviously, I'm sure you can imagine it's made me wildly unpopular among my colleagues, but popular among the American people, which is what counts.
And that's right. First off, that's who you should be trying to be popular with. Instead, they're popular with their bankers and their family members. Chip Roy.
Republicans need to look at this as a wake-up call that we get on offense, right? We need to be sending stuff over to Senate Democrats. We need to send over, for example, H.R. 2 from the last Congress to codify the border security the president's doing. We ought to send over the SAVE Act again. We ought to pass, for example, the ban on congressional stock trading, which I introduced 4 years ago. Let's stop that, right? These are issues that poll at 80 or 90%. Send it over to the Democrats and make them have to deal with it. So I think we should come back in and go on offense and don't let the Democrats carry the message.
All right. I agree. We need to go on offense for all of those things. We need to do it now, and we need to do it sooner than later. Thank you, Chip Roy. All right, I want to talk about MAGA Porter Jr. Do you know who that is? His real name's Michael Porter Jr. He plays for the Brooklyn Nets. We know the NBA is filled with not just the players, a bunch of liberal loons who take knees for the national anthem, Black Lives Matter nonsense, all of it. But MAGA Porter Jr., Michael Porter Jr., is clearly a conservative to me. The Brooklyn Nets go to him and tell him to shut up. Sit down and shut up. You know, they changed the name of the owners of the Nets and these NBA teams to governors because they don't want to call them owners because they say it sounds like slaves. Well, you know what? You can call yourself whatever you want, but stop acting like a slave owner then, owners of these NBA teams, and telling your players they can't speak up about issues that are important to them. He gets told to sit down and shut up. This is a multi-million-dollar fabulous player. one of the few with common sense in the NBA. I'm going to play for you some of the things that he said that they don't like, and also him telling the story. But before I do that, let me tell you about my friends over at Augusta Precious Metals. Augusta Metals is predicting that gold could go to $10,000 an ounce. That's unbelievable. So imagine this. Smart Americans are protecting themselves with gold and silver IRAs. So if you have at least $50,000 in an IRA or a 401k or other retirement account, you need to get in touch with Augusta Precious Metals. They offer a free web conference where you'll discover how gold could protect you when other assets fail. This is why they're Money.com's best overall gold IRA company 4 years running. GrantLovesGold.com. That's where I want you to go. GrantLovesGold.com. Or if you got your phone out right now, text HEDGE to 35052. That's HEDGE to 35052. Do that today. All right. There's also a 2-minute video at the website, GrantLovesGold.com, that will literally reveal the one step you can take to secure your financial future in just 2 minutes. Watch the video. Literally, it's worth it. It's a good video, too, I'll tell you. GrantLovesGold.com. That's GrantLovesGold.com. Okay. MAGA Porter Jr. This guy's great, by the way. He is a fabulous basketball player. Seems like an all-around good guy. And this is what he told podcasters about what the Brooklyn Nets were telling him.
To be on the internet for anything else other than basketball. I feel like that's a summertime thing. But nah, definitely. Even like the organization, like we've just had conversations, you know, that they would appreciate if I stayed clear of certain topics. You know what I mean? That's why the WNBA thing, like that's just a topic that kind of is so sensitive nowadays, you know, just so I try to be just aware of that. But you know, for y'all, I'll pull up or like mellow. But for the most part, I'm chilling. I'm not trying to say nothing crazy no more. The East is probably easier. It's probably going to...
So they literally tell him not to do this, not to talk about things that are important to him. How dare the Brooklyn Nets try to silence a basketball player in a free country? Because they call him MAGA Porter Jr., you know the Brooklyn Nets are furious. One, they're in New York, a radical city run by a radical mayor with a bunch of radical people who live there. So they don't like Michael Porter Jr., who's basically lighting it up in New York for them, by the way. You let him say whatever the hell he wants to say as long as he continues his great play. So what are the kinds of things he says? How do I know he's pro-Trump? He's asking all the right questions.
You guys get these people that you get on your who's the ones with the connections to get? Because I think I watched the Donald Trump one. That was you guys, right?
Yeah, it's a mix.
Elon,
it's kind of like a team effort.
Really?
Yeah.
So he's watching Donald Trump and Elon Musk podcasts. All right, with these guys, that tells you one thing.
But like what's the process of reaching out to these people?
Honestly, it could happen just like how
going
you
out
guys
really?
went on.
Bro. Yeah, we've done that stuff like that.
We're boys with Dana White because we do a lot of shit with the UFC.
Okay.
So he was the one that got us Trump.
Really?
Yeah.
That was a big interview, huh?
Yeah, it was crazy.
Because they pretty much tried to like shut Trump up, right?
They deleted the pod we did with him.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
And you don't know who deleted it?
YouTube.
Just because why?
Just because.
Why do you think they tried to like completely?
So, again, the guys he's with, they get deleted from YouTube. And his last question is, why are they trying to stop the voices? Why are they trying to silence you from hearing these different opinions that may be different from what the leaders of YouTube agree with, or may be different than the leaders at the Brooklyn Nets agree with? They silence you because your voice is powerful. Whether it's Elon Musk or Donald Trump, the most powerful voices in America, two of them anyway, or MAGA Porter Jr., who does have a powerful voice in certain communities that are going to listen to this guy who's a star basketball player and say, hey, you know what? Maybe this guy is onto something. And, you know, just to prove to you how good this guy is, I want you to watch this.
Porter struggling, coming off a hot. His first personal. Here's Porter. Guarded by Porzingis, Porter, another.
Would have been a part of the Pacers score anyway.
The step back. That's bam.
Porter, 6 to shoot.
But wait a second.
Launches. And
Bingo. He's not supposed to be this good. He's a Trump supporter.
Finds Porter.
Hot dog, man. The fall away from 3. MAGA, Porter, Jr. Another one. Another 3 from downtown.
With Kennard on him, Porter puts it
This
up.
guy's amazing. Let's silence him. Let's shut him up. 2 guys on him. He's draining it. I want this guy to play for the Mavericks. I really do. Bingo.
I mean, that's going to turn into a basket for Porter Jr.
There you go. And you know what he does? No showboating. He acts like he's been there before. He's not running down the court. Oh, come on. He acts like he's been there before. This is why I like this guy. There's other reasons why I like him. Like this.
Damn, I think that's it, chat. That's all I got. You got any
You
more
didn't even
questions?
ask me nothing controversial. You didn't ask
Oh,
me
I ain't. Hold on. All right, how many genders is there?
You didn't do that. Ask how many genders it was. It's 2 genders.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. Let's keep this shit going.
Don't you think it's 2 genders, or am I tripping?
No. No,
See,
bro.
dude,
What?
scary. See, bro, people be scared, bro. How many
It's
genders?
definitely
How
only
many,
2 genders,
how many genders do you think it is?
Wait for this idiot's answer, by the way. So MAGA Porter Jr. saying, hey, how many genders do you think there is, you ding-dong? God made man and a woman. You can pretend to be anything you want in America. It's a free country. I get it. But don't tell me that there's more than 2 genders. There's not. Well, this ding-dong is about to tell you there's more than 2 genders. I actually feel bad for him because what does President Trump say? Low IQ individual.
I'm going to be honest, bro. Like, I think it's as many genders as niggas want it to be genders, in my opinion.
For
Like,
real?
I dead don't give a fuck. I'm not going to lie.
What does that mean? Interesting.
Like,
you see what he's saying? He doesn't understand the question. So you can pretend to be a girl when you're a boy or a boy when you're a girl. It doesn't mean that somehow there's a different gender, okay? You can pretend to be a cat. It doesn't mean that you actually are. So when the question is, how many genders are there? The only answer is 2. Even though you're allowed to pretend to be as many as you want, but that doesn't mean that there are as many genders as you want. This poor young man doesn't understand.
so I feel like people are very.
You've been in LA too long, nigga.
I feel like, nah, even in Jersey.
God created male and female.
Yes, God created male and female, but my parents taught me to let people be happy with their lives. Why does me you get what I'm saying? So that's why honestly I've never I feel like niggas be overly, on Twitter, man, it's 2 genders. You feel me, on some super I don't know if that's left wing or right wing. I don't know.
Everybody's decisions, but it still started as 2 genders.
Thank you. That young man summed it all up. So you have MAGA Porter Jr. saying, hey, God created 2 genders, man and woman. Thank you, MAGA Porter Jr. And then you got the other young man saying, you can pretend as much as you want, but there's only 2 genders. You can be whatever you want to be, but it doesn't change the truth. So this is why the Brooklyn Nets want to shut him up because of this. This gets even funnier too, by the way. So he basically says that the WNBA All-Star team would be beaten by the McDonald's All-American team, high school boys, which I'm going to tell you right now, beyond a shadow of a doubt, a high school boy, I don't even think you need to be McDonald's All-American. Go to the number 1, number 2, number 5, top 10 boys high school teams in my city, Dallas, Texas. They're going to beat the WNBA team, including with Caitlin Clark. Okay? Now, that's controversial. The Nets don't like him saying that. But it's reality and it's the truth. And this gets back to the idea that there are 2 genders with differences.
Man, if the WNBA, you said an all-star team?
Yeah, the Olympic team, basically.
If the Olympic team played the McDonald's boys All-American high school players, it's one of them things, bro, where you can't dance around it, bro. At the end of the day, like, in high school, when I was in high school, it was like grown men, bro. We were grown men pretty much. Like me, Trae Young, DeAndre Ayton, Gary Trent, PJ Washington, like.
Damn, now that's a crazy lineup.
If we play the WNBA All-Star team, I mean, that's a no disrespect, bro.
How much?
No disrespect, bro. I'm not even gonna say it.
I'm saying them out. I said y'all was going.
You think it would be 10?
I think it could be close. Caitlin Clark Cole. What the fuck,
nigga?
So This is what I love about this guy. And this is why the left hates him. Because he just has common sense and he tells it like it is. He makes factual statements that go against the entire leftist narrative out there. And he pisses everybody else off because of it. You know what? We traded Luka Doncic to the LA Lakers. We got rid of Nico Harrison. You know I'm a Mavericks fan, folks. Cuban's coming back. I have rumblings they're going to bring Dirk Nowitzki in and maybe be the GM here. Go out and get Maga Porter Jr. for me. Cuban would hate it because, you know, he's not a leftist, but he's kind of a liberal, wannabe, friendly, flu guy. Okay? I actually like Mark Cuban. I really do. I know him personally. I think he's a nice guy. I just think he's confused on politics. And he's too concerned about being liked by the masses. It's a bad move on his part. But bring Maga Porter Jr. here. I don't know if Cuban could handle it, though. I don't think he could. Maybe that's why I really want him here. All right? Maga Porter Jr. become a Dallas Maverick. How great would that be? I'm telling you, folks, great. All right. There's a group out there called Embrace Grace. And you know, as we move into Thanksgiving, I think there's nothing to be more grateful for than life. And we have young women that feel lost when they get pregnant. We need more organizations out there that do the opposite of Planned Parenthood. We need more organizations out there that help women through what can be a very trying process of having a baby when you're not ready for one. But that doesn't mean you have an abortion. And this Embrace Grace is an amazing group. And I spoke to Danielle Buck about the organization. Danielle is with Patriot Mobile. And Patriot Mobile is doing such a fabulous job of really moving America in the right direction. This is my interview with her. All right, I want to bring in now Danielle Buck. She is with Patriot Mobile, a great sponsor of this program. And beyond cell phone service, Danielle, you guys do such amazing work, which is why I'm so proud to be associated with Patriot Mobile. You have this Embrace Grace event coming up for volunteers. This is about helping young mothers, I guess, and fathers as well, with unexpected pregnancies, how to navigate this, getting the church involved. Why don't you tell me about that first? Because as we come up on Thanksgiving week, if there's anything to be grateful for, it is life. And Amen. So many people out there seem to not see that, Danielle.
No, you're so right, Grant. Life is so precious, and every life. And so that's why we're doing this event this coming Saturday, November 22nd, at the Embrace Grace headquarters, which is one of our partners in the pro-life space that we give a portion of obviously every cell phone bill to. But this year we wanted to do something a little bit different and actually kind of have a little bit more action to just our donation. And so we're hosting a volunteer event where there's two different opportunities for 2 different hour-and-a-half windows where people can sign up and actually make love boxes for these moms. And we give them to these moms through local pregnancy resource centers. And after they find out they have a positive pregnancy test, they're given a box. And I actually have one here to show you, because to me, as a mom, this would have been really powerful if I would have received this and been in a scary situation. Best gift ever, right? And it talks about being a brave girl. Most of these women are alone. They're scared, and they need someone to show them that you're not alone. God is with you. The church is with you. We're going to walk alongside this together, and you can choose life. And there's stories of other women who've had unexpected pregnancies and they've chosen life and how it's changed their life. And so, and actually my favorite part of this box is each of the volunteers get to write a note to one of these moms and just encourage them and speak truth and life into them. So imagining yourself in a situation where you are faced with an unplanned pregnancy and maybe you're scared and alone, what would you want to read? Yeah. And so we are so excited for this event this coming Saturday. You can find out more information on our website, patriotmobile.com/embracegrace. They also have it on their website as well. It's on our social media channels. There's 2 volunteer opportunities. We'd love to pack 1,000 love boxes to save 1,000 babies just in this one Saturday. But if you live somewhere else in the country, you actually can do this in your small group, at your church. They're partnered with about 1,200 churches already. If your church doesn't have an Embrace Grace group, you could bring one to your church, because then after they get this box, they get actually connected with learning about how to get the needs that they have when they are about to have a baby. For example, parenting classes, material needs, physical needs, spiritual needs. So the church then comes alongside these women and provides those things. They throw them a baby shower, giving them, strollers and things that are actually essential when you're about to have a baby. And so it's really cool because it's more than just this box, but this is like the beginning of how that journey begins for so many of these moms.
And I was reading on the website that the church will throw a baby shower for the young mother, and then as well, you start to get embraced by that church and grow with that church as a family. Are these new churches for the moms? Are they going to a current church that they already attend? How does that typically play out?
Yeah, so typically they actually find out about Embrace Grace through receiving one of these boxes at a local pregnancy resource center, and then they're directed to a local church that has an Embrace Grace group. So many times these women have never stepped foot in that church, but they're scared, they're alone, and they're like, hey, I'll go check this out. Thursday night, Tuesday night, whatever day it is. And so many times it's women that are not in church who do not know the Lord, but they are in need. And so then the local church comes alongside them. They not only, as you said, provide them with that baby shower and giving them the tangible needs that they have, but they give them the spiritual and the emotional support too. They connect them with other single moms that might be in a similar situation so that they really do not feel alone, and help them along the whole process, not just until the baby's born. That's what I love about it, but even after. So many of these women stay connected to that local church, and then their baby boy, baby girl are part of that body for years to come. I interviewed Embrace Grace, the founder, Amy Ford, a couple weeks ago, and she actually was sharing with me that there's a mom who's now leading an Embrace Grace group with her 8-year-old daughter. And she was an Embrace Grace student 8 years prior. And it's actually at even a different church. And so they're trying to grow the network of churches that have these groups. And all the pastor really has to do is they're given everything. It's not something they want to charge. They just want to get to able to touch more women. And so sometimes you can find them, like I said, from Embrace Grace website or from the local pregnancy resource centers. Obviously know which churches in the area have the Embrace Grace groups.
Yeah, it's fabulous stuff. And I'm so grateful you guys are taking part in this. Very, very important charity, and I urge people, if you live outside the country, as you mentioned, there's a whole bunch of things you can do, including give money. I would imagine you could do that right on the website to donate to the organization as well. Real quick before I let you go, because, Patriot Mobile is so fabulous, so fabulous to us, this country, moving us in the right direction. You have a very special Black Friday deal that's going on now. Can you tell people about it?
Sure. So if you're not on Patriot Mobile, I would urge you to do so now. We started our Black Friday sale already, so you don't have to wait. And you can get a free Samsung A16 phone with the code Friday25. That's only for the next 2 weeks. So we would encourage you to call 972-PATRIOT or go to patriotmobile.com. And that is an amazing offer, obviously, if you're trying to switch. But most people have questions about, hey, can I bring my phone? If you don't need a new phone, no problem. You can bring your existing phone, and you can bring your existing phone number. And we have all 3 of the major networks. So there really is no reason not to switch today.
Well, I'll tell you what, Patriot Mobile has been fabulous, and switching is literally so easy. patriotmobile.com/grant, or what was the website again that the Freedom 25?
Freedom 25 is the promo code Friday 25 is the promo code for the free phone, the Samsung A16.
Okay.
And the best part, when you call 972-PATRIOT, you're going to talk to an American you can understand. And so I know many people have the current carrier that they don't have that same situation with. And so please talk to one of our amazing representatives, and we'd be happy to help you out.
All right. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming on, Danielle Buck. And folks,
Thanks,
let me
Grant.
give you the website again, patriotmobile.com/grant. You can use that promo code you mentioned as well, Friday 25. Just make sure you tell them that Grant Stinchfield sent you, 972-PATRIOT. That's 972-PATRIOT. And what a great deal. And we're grateful to Patriot Mobile. That's for sure. All right, folks. So I'm glad you were able to see that. Please help that organization out. I think it's very important. And we forget about talking about that issue a lot. I'm so focused on where our government's headed, people inside. I don't talk about life as much as I probably should. And that's an example of a company that I think is really doing absolutely fabulous work, and or a nonprofit that's doing fabulous work. The company that's doing fabulous work, of course, is Patriot Mobile. All right. I will see you all on the Real America's Voice show tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to get more into the Stock Act as well. Charlotte, North Carolina, ground zero right now for the ICE raids. And then we've got proof that they were using illegal aliens for the census data. This is a real problem because this is what was setting congressional lines, districts, and those types of things. We're going to talk about that on the program tonight as well. Don't forget my website, GrantStinchfield.com. That's GrantStinchfield.com. Please like and share the video if you can. Subscribe to the podcast, whatever platform you're on. Please subscribe there, and I am grateful for that. GrantStinchfield.com. Have yourself a fabulous Thursday, and we'll see you on the Real America's Voice show tonight. Stinchfield's Army rolls. Thanks to all of you.